black book. You know what time it is. 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 Time it is.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Bird 91. We are talking to you guys today about, we're talking to you guys solely about relationships, but we're talking specifically on this topic of I want to leave them, but I am afraid. How many people have been in a situation where they're in a relationship, they know it's come to an end, but they're afraid to let the relationship go? You know, let my people go, as Moses has said. But in this case, you want to let that relationship go, but you're struggling to do so because of what? Fear. And so what we're going to break down in today's episode. Now, if you're new to the channel, do me a massive favor, like it, share, and subscribe to this channel. And for those of you who are returnees, you already know what it is, baby. You got the minerals. You got the minerals. Stay hydrated because the streets out there, they're hot. Okay, they're really hot. All right, let's get into the video. I wanna tell a little story. So we have a little bit of a fake story. So we have Dominica. Okay, she's been in a relationship for over 2 years. Okay, and when she began dating Kwame, she felt good, she felt safe, she felt loved, and he was a good man. Okay, and I shouldn't even say he is a good man. And over the last few months, Dominica has realized that they weren't a good match as she first thought. You know, you grow and sometimes you grow apart. All right, and she wanted to tell him, but each time it seemed like the wrong time, so she felt too scared to tell him. How many of you have been in a relationship or are in a relationship right now where you know that the relationship isn't the right one, but you want to make that step, but you feel this fear, right? And so the Bible lets us know, even with Jeremiah, he said, do not be afraid of their faces. Don't be afraid. The Bible tells Joshua, do not be afraid. Be courageous, you know? And it's difficult to do that because fear is a real thing, right? Or at least somebody will say fear is a real thing because they say fear is false evidence appearing real. But let's break it down in terms of this topic, because we're going to break it down over a series of videos. We're going to talk specifically about fear and what that does to you when you're doing decision making in these kind of scenarios. This is for men and women, by the way, so not just for women. All right, fear itself. What is fear? Fear is a natural, powerful, primitive human emotion, a reaction to a stimuli. There is something that you are reacting to. Okay, that is what fear does. Fear is, someone says, an emotion, right? It's an emotion that is natural and powerful, okay? And having faith is not necessarily meaning there's an absence of fear. Having faith means walking through that fear. It means as you feel that fear, you still progress forward, right? It's a reaction to the stimuli. You may feel fear in that moment, but what do? Do you go forward or do you stop and be paralyzed? And so fear is a natural thing if you're making a decision where you want to leave a relationship. We're going to talk about those little things in a second. What is fear for? Okay, fear alerts us to the presence of danger or a threat of harm, whether that be danger is physical or psychological. What is the threat here? The threat here, in a sense, okay, is that you may be thinking about, if I leave him now, how are his feelings going to be affected? Or you may be thinking, am I going to be alone? And there's more other stuff to consider, but I want just to bring those things. And those are real threats. They're threats to the fact that we don't want to be alone. They're threats to the fact I don't want to be single. They're threats to how do I start again, right? Okay, and this is what leads to my third point, because it's like, what may you be afraid of? You need to assess this. What may you be afraid of? What are you afraid of? Is it the loneliness? All right? Is it you're going to be single and you're going to have to date again? Is it the fact that, listen, you know, no one's loved you like this and you're not sure if someone else can love you the same way? Is it the fact you have to start all over again? And it takes time, it takes energy to do so. Is it the fact that you don't feel you don't have good self-esteem? Is it the fact you don't feel loved enough, or you feel like no one can love you enough? I probably said the same thing over again. Are you scared that someone else, if you get with them, they can hurt your feelings? Is this is this too much of a safe and comfortable place to be? And you're scared that if you go out there, you might not find another safe and comfortable place to be. There's so many different reasons as to why you may be afraid, and Dominica may have so many different reasons as to why she'd be afraid, but she needs to find that out. He or she needs to find out. You need to find that out. What are you afraid of? Can't diagnose it unless you explain, unless you dig deep inside yourself and assess, what am I afraid of? Okay, what am I specifically afraid of? I remember when I look at some of the relationships that I've been in, and some of them why I didn't leave earlier. And the reason why I didn't leave earlier is one, because I was afraid of starting over again. I was afraid of being alone. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to get the same caliber of woman again. I was scared that nobody else will love me the same way. I didn't want to have to start. I just want to start all over again. I put my heart and soul into this, and how can it just end like that, right? They weren't necessarily bad. So why am I just quitting the relationship? We all get to that place, and I was afraid of all those different things, right? And eventually I had to make that decision. Well, some of them were made for me, but nonetheless, it is what it is. And the fourth point is this: fear paralyzes you. This is why we don't want to stay in fear, because fear paralyzes you. It stops you from making an objective decision that you want to make. Listen, emotions are also a part of the decision making, but it shouldn't drive it. It should be an objective thought process that allows emotion also to be weaved in. We need to have emotion involved, but we have to be very clear and objective about it, weighing up the evidence of what we've seen. As for Dominica, she's saying, it's for her, she wanted to tell him, but it seems like it's the wrong time to tell him. She's thinking more about his feelings than her own. There is a selfishness in being, there's a selflessness in being selfish. Sometimes you have to be selfish to be selfless. And sometimes when you're being selfless, it's selfish because you rob the other person of who you truly are. And so it's really important not to get paralyzed by fear. Isaiah 41:10 says, "Fear not, for I am with you." Okay, the Lord is with you. Some of you might not have the Lord. Some of you might say the universe, whichever one you want to call it. Listen, you're not alone. Okay, all right. You'll struggle to make a decision in fear. You'll struggle to make the right decision in fear. Okay, the longer you stay in fear, the more anxiety and stress you will feel. Okay. Point number 5. If Dominica is at the point of wanting to leave, we have to ask her the reason. What is your reason for leaving? Now, we didn't get that in the story, okay, all right. But all we do know is that she realized. Oh, we did get that story, sorry. And what we heard was that she realized they were not as a good match as she thought they were, right? Some people grow and they realize this is not the right relationship for them. They've outgrown the relationship, and so once you know that, okay, you got to hold to that truth and live in it. All right. You've got to do Peter on the water, right? You've got the truth. Jesus is right in front of you. He's the truth. And Peter is a person who's who's seeing the truth and walking towards the truth. You're walking towards the fact this relationship it's not enough for me anymore. I've outgrown it. And you're walking on water. And what you need to do is keep walking because you have the truth. But then when you start to look around and see the fear and the storm that comes around as you're walking on water, you begin to sink because you start to give into the emotions. You start thinking about how will he feel, or how will she feel, how would they feel if I do this, or I'm going to be lonely, I'm going to be all alone, I'm going to be without a partner, everyone's going to judge me, my parents will ask me when am I going to get married. All of these stuff is going to come to you and you begin to sink. Right? So if you have the truth, you must speak truth to the fear, because the fear is a false evidence appearing real. Right? Fear is false evidence appearing real, right? So for you, I want to say it again, what's your reason for leaving? And I'm going to leave it on this last point, okay, for you guys to consider. I'll leave it on this last point for you to consider, okay? All right? And you guys know I've said this before, all right? This is the reason why some people just can't do what they do. Short-term pain, I put a Q in there, but I'm going to say, versus long-term pain. It will hurt now, but muscles grow in pain. It will hurt now, but the muscles grow in that pain. Short-term pain must be taken on board in order for long-term gains to happen, right? But what happens is people want to delay the short-term pain, okay, because they feel like if they ignore that, then they can stay in it longer, right? They can abstain from the pain longer. You're only building up more pain for yourself, okay? The quicker you realize and come to a realization that this short-term pain is long-term gain, the quicker you access the truth and the quicker that you walk out in this truth. So again, just to say, these decisions are never easy, but if you believe that you're at the end of your relationship and it's fear that's holding you back, please know that fear paralyzes, and you should walk in faith and not in fear. And how we gain more faith? Faith cometh by hearing the word of God. But the first part is by hearing. What do you have to hear? You have to hear the truth. What is the truth? Speak it to yourself. You know the truth. What is Dominica's truth? She's outgrown the relationship. And for you, it may be something else. Like, share, subscribe. Click on the bell button for notifications of the uploads. And for those of you returnees, you already know what it is, baby. You got the minerals. You got a mineral.
Little black bird. You know what time